Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Spill the Tea. I'm your host, Keisha Savory, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Nicole Gurley. Hello.
Yes, and we're back to spill some tea on what juniors should be doing in the second half of the year. And we have some very special guests with us, some of our college and career specialists from Orange County Public Schools. That's right here in Orlando. And we're going to start off. I'm going to introduce you to these lovely ladies. First off, from Lake Nona, we have Maxie Harmon. And then at Oak Ridge High School, we have Mercedes Gittens. And last but certainly not least, from Winter Park, we have Elisa Mora.
Hello.
Thank you, ladies, for joining us. We know you have a busy, well, you guys are always busy working with these juniors and seniors. So today we wanted to get things rolling and get them rolling into how to prepare for the big year, for senior year. So I'm going to start off with the question. It's the second half of the year. We've come back from our winter break. What should juniors be thinking of? What should they be doing starting right now? So I'm just gonna leave it up to you guys. Which one of you would like to start?
Oh, one of the most important things to do is to start researching, start looking for institutions that you might possibly be interested in applying to. We have this wonderful app called SCORE that's on the students' OCPS Launchpad. And so students should start taking some of those assessments, start looking at what types of careers might interest them, majors. Again, nothing has to be set in stone, but this is the time where you start researching, start looking at what the average GPA, SAT score are for some of the institutions that you're interested in. Are you on track? Do you need to improve a GPA? What are some things that you need to do? In some cases, maybe credit recovery, time to talk to your counselor. Look over those transcripts. Our counselors here at Lake Nona are meeting with juniors currently, and this is a great time. And I tell the juniors, check those transcripts for any errors, anything that's missing, because now is the time to get that fixed. If you wait until your senior year, you're going to miss some application deadlines because that information isn't updated automatically. So this is the time to plan and prepare, but having a list, a pretty solid list of at least 8 to 10 institutions that you might be interested in attending, those reach schools, some target, and then some safety. Have a plan, a backup plan, and then guess what? A backup to the backup plan. Because, life happens and pandemics come and go. So you must be ready for everything.
Little things, no big deal. Mercedes?
Start preparing for your standardized testing. Use Khan Academy. It is an awesome tool for students who are taking SAT to get practice for the actual test that all juniors in Orange County would take in March. So it's a free test, a school day test. So I would say start preparing for that actual test. And it has proven that if students do at least 20 hours up until the time that they test or either retest, that they should see an improvement in their score. So this will be your very first score for a lot of juniors. So you want to make sure you're doing everything that you can to prepare for the test.
Awesome. Awesome. Elisa?
I would, I'm going to piggyback on what you both said regarding getting the transcripts and having a plan. Remember that for college admissions, the GPA that the universities are going to look at is your cumulative GPA through the end of junior year. They want to see the course schedule of senior year, but your cumulative GPA that you're going to report in your applications is really what runs up until basically summer school. So as Maxie said, if you need to do any credit recovery or grade forgiveness, this is the time to plan. So make an appointment with your counselor or meet with them, because I know many counselors are meeting individually with each student, and they will be doing now in the spring as well to work on the plan for next school year. To piggyback on what Mercedes said, remember that all of you received, especially you juniors, if you sat for the October PSAT, you have your PSAT score. So if you haven't taken a look at it, take a look. Double check that your Khan Academy, as she said, is linked to your College Board account. But I also think that a lot of you don't spend enough time looking at your actual PSAT. And I don't know if you know, but you can do that. You can go to your College Board account and look at every question you answered correctly and incorrectly. In my mind, that's one of the best ways to do some test prep, is to actually go through the test and see, you know what, I don't even know why I got this question wrong because I know the answer, or I really need to work on this skill. And you have about 3 months. And to add also, a lot of you are not going to do well on the SAT. The ACT might be a great option. So those are 2 standardized tests that you guys have access to that you should take at least once. Now, OCPS has the PSAT and the SAT for you juniors in March, but there's also an ACT in October. Excuse me, sorry, not October, in April. And so do some test prep for that test as well, so you can see the differences, and that way you're better set for success once you actually sit for the test.
That's great. Yes, get on it now, get the practicing going. So you had said, Elisa, that they're looking at the GPA and what like test scores then now through junior year. And then Maxie, you said that they're meeting with their counselors now. So what kind of schedule should they be building for their senior years? What kind of classes should they be taking? What should their schedules be looking like in the future?
So senior year is really not the year to take it easy. Especially if you're looking at one of the super scholar institutions, our UCF, FSU, our big state institutions. The colleges really want to see English, of course, every year on your schedule. They want to see math, they want to see science. So even if you've met the requirements for high school graduation, the requirements for a competitive college are going to be a higher standard. So keep in mind, if you're looking at a STEM related major, you should probably be taking an AP level math, science. Dual enrollment is great, but maybe find a balance between the two. I always suggest that students look to see if they have a good understanding of what they're going to major in, look up that catalog on that college's website, get an idea, what are they expecting a biology major at UCF to come in with, what level of math, what level of science, because you don't want to start off behind. And so it's important to start looking at that information ahead of time so that when you meet with your counselor to discuss that schedule for your senior year, you keep that in mind. We are at Lake Nona, we allow our students to have either one period of late arrival or early release, and no more than that. Really, more than that doesn't look favorably on your application. Yeah. And so kind of keep that in mind, find a nice balance, but again, plan wisely, because if you over enroll in AP classes and you end up having to withdraw from some, that doesn't always look very good also when you're going through the application. So don't bite off more than you can chew, but at the same time, don't set your goal so low that it looks like you're trying to just coast through that senior year. So, and one other thing that came to mind when students review transcripts, that's an issue here, I'm not sure at other schools, but verifying that the information is correct, like their legal name appears on the transcript, and that is the name that you use when you register for ACT, SAT, and college applications, FAFSA, the Florida Financial Aid application. We have a lot of errors where students only use one last name. If you have 2 last names, list them proudly on everything that you apply to. It's super important. Or if we have your name incorrect in OCPS system, please provide the necessary documentation so we can get that updated.
That is such a good point, Maxie. As a counselor, I've worked with some students that sometimes, and it's happened more than once, you guys, so this is not crazy, their parents have called them something all of their life. They never use their true first name. So in everything, they put down this name that the parents use. And then all of a sudden they're seeing everything with the first part. It's like, well, that's not my name. But it is. Let me show you that birth certificate. So definitely you guys make sure that you're checking your legal information and that it's actually correct. And one other thing that they just pointed out as well in talking about test scores this year, and for those of you that may watch it at another time, we are still getting over the pandemic, still in the midst of it actually, and some schools have gone without needing test scores.
That's optional.
It doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way. So you definitely want to make sure that you pay attention to what these ladies are saying. Take those tests, because one day it's going to come back for many schools. And in the state of Florida, all state universities are still asking for it. So stay on top of that stuff. Elisa, did you want to add in on what we were just talking about?
I did. One of the things that I encourage all my juniors to do is to think about the community service opportunities that are available and try to get them done by the end of this summer. When you're working on college admissions, you want to report all your activities and everything that you've done outside of high school. And we know that to qualify for the Bright Futures Academic and Medallion Awards, you have until the end of senior year, but you can't report that on your college applications if you do it senior year. So you want to have your resume, your academic and extracurricular resume, as complete as possible by the end of the summer, so that you're just ready to go and submit everything. And you're also enjoying your senior year. Your senior year is when you're going to have homecoming and prom and all your senior events. You don't want to be worrying about fitting in community service, and getting too close to the deadline. I also want you to go back for a minute about what Maxie said regarding the schedule. What I tell my students is, if you have 2 honors classes next year, you should continue to build. So if you have 2 honors classes, add an AP. If you have an AP class, make it 2 AP classes. So the purpose is not just to have a robust academic curriculum, but also remember, you are building up your own habits so that when you go to college, you're successful and you can manage college level curriculum right off the bat, so that it's not a huge shock when you have to read 20 pages in 3 days. So work on building your curriculum so that it's not so shocking when you get to college.
Such a great point.
Yes, because that was a shock to me.
But that's a great point, to not just work academically for colleges, but they're also looking at extracurriculars, they're looking at community service. And so by senior year, that's too late to kind of join all that stuff. And one other thing I heard, which I don't know if you guys can confirm, is that colleges don't want you to just do a bunch of random community service hours. It doesn't look as good as like one project that you've been working on and really passionate about, right?
Yes, we try to, pre-pandemic, and we understand it's kind of a little difficult now, was we would tell students, like, what is it that you want to study in college? Like, what would you want your major to be? So for the students who wanted to be doctors, when they would allow students to go to the hospitals to do that volunteer work, that's where we would tell the students to go, because this became like a miniature internship.
Right.
So you can see things firsthand to really kind of determine if this is what you wanted to do. For the students who wanted to be teachers, going to that local elementary school and giving back there, helping the students with math and reading. So we used to try to help students or match them in the fields in which they want to study in college, to kind of give them some type of experience before heading off to school. So when it was time to write about your experience, especially with a scholarship that you had, it was more relatable. You could connect pieces together. It was more meaningful than to say, I went to X, Y, and Z, but I just did it because I needed the hours.
Definitely. Then you have those kids that are like, well, I cleaned out my grandmother's closet. Does that count? No, player. It doesn't count. You should try to do something meaningful. Get something out of it too. I know, I don't know if you guys get this question a lot, when you have those students that are trying to go to upper level schools like an Ivy League or some of our state universities. They ask, should I try and create something to start some sort of community service within the school? Do your schools allow students to be able to create clubs or any kind of volunteer programs? And if so, how do they usually go about that? Do you guys know about that kind of stuff?
I can take this one. Absolutely. If you, as a student, find a niche or an area of need in your community and you want to take on a project or create a club to address that need, you definitely you can go to your administrators or your student government association and ask them what are the procedures for creating a club. A lot of times those clubs may already exist. A great way to get involved and do community service is through some of your service clubs, the Key Club, the Interact Club. There's a lot of service clubs in each of our schools where you can already go ahead and do it. But if you have something that you want to see through, what a great way to show some leadership. Leadership is not just being the president of the Spanish club. Leadership can be finding an area of need and seeing a project through from beginning to end. We had a student a couple of years ago that basically wanted to do something but didn't know what to do. So she called the different local organizations and said, what do you need? And it just so happened that at the Salvation Army, which is a national organization, they said, we need socks for the men in our shelter when it gets cold and they're walking in their bare feet. And it's just more sanitary. So the student went and did a sock drive and went to her community, gathered a bunch of socks and just drove them over and donated them. And that was a fantastic project. It also wasn't super complicated. You guys don't have to create a 503 nonprofit organization.
Right,
That takes
right.
a lot of work.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that. Keep it simple. But really, as you said, if it comes from the heart, it'll work out great. And there, by the way, there are scholarships for students that have great community service projects, and there are programs that will support you. And the universities want to see that. They don't want academics to be your extracurricular activity. They
Right.
want to see that you're an active member of your community because that tells them you're going to be an active member of their community.
Exactly. Wow. So building academics we're doing community service, we're taking test prep. Maxie, you had also mentioned the college searching aspect being very important now, like second semester, junior year, kind of as a whole, and our score system we have. But what should students be thinking about when they're building their college list? Where do they even start? What kind of questions are out there for them, Maxie?
Right. Again, there isn't one college that is a one size fits all. There is really no such thing. And so the student really needs to take some time and reflect and think, do I work better in a smaller setting? Do I need that more personal attention from my professor? Or am I okay in an auditorium of 200 to 300 students? Can I focus? Oftentimes I meet with students where the language is still a challenge, in which case I say, I'm not saying UCF, for example, wouldn't be a great place for you, but if you're struggling right now to understand your teachers, the language that they speak, then maybe let's start a little bit smaller, build that language skill up, and then go, because it's going to be different. So everyone needs something different. Do you want to be close to a big city? Are you okay being out in a rural area like a St. Leo, which is a beautiful campus, but maybe you don't want to be that far out. Maybe you want to be close to downtown Orlando, so it's really finding what is going to be a good fit for what you need and how you learn and the type of interaction that you're looking for. Obviously, do they offer the major or the course of study that you're interested in? But also if you are, I studied in the US as an international student, so it was important for me, for the college that I attended, to have a solid international student services department, because I knew no one in the US at the time. So they were going to be my connection into other areas. So, looking, broadening that horizon. And some students also feel that going out of state automatically is going to mean more money. It's too expensive. I can't even look. And that's really not the case. I encourage students, look for that U score, put in those non-negotiables for you, and leave it open and see what institutions come up. Bright Futures is great. And if you can earn Bright Futures, fantastic. But Bright Futures doesn't cover room and board. And that could be a good chunk of money. So use those net price calculators on the institution websites to find out, is an Auburn a realistic possibility for me? So it is going to be very important to start researching. And then, as I mentioned before, visit a local college campus. We're fortunate in Orlando to have some some options, a UCF, a Rollins, a Valencia, a state college. Get a little sample of what it's like at each, so that when you start to visit and you start to do some research, you have something to compare it to.
Right. Does anyone else?
I would also say, come in, we really encourage students to come and get to know your counselors.
Yes.
Your counselor can get to know you, and having those conversations can also help you with the research, the research for particular schools, coming to see your CCS. Also, we have signs here at Oak Ridge, staff door signs outside of each one of our classrooms or offices, and it tells the students what schools we've attended. And it says, please ask me about my college and career experiences. So if you wanted to hear something firsthand, let's say from your math teacher who went to FSU, and you're looking to go to FSU, that could also be a great starting point, and then also a way to build relationships. Because in return, that teacher who you have can also be a recommender for you as well if you're applying to certain schools.
You guys are hitting some great tips for these kids, you know, in that preparation. You know, a lot of our juniors don't start to think about stuff until senior year. So in that prep work, I know that we can foresee the programs that they should be applying to in their senior year. How would you, what would you tell a student to help them prepare for some of those programs, like a Quest Bridge, like a Bridges to Success, an FSU Cares? And feel free to talk about some of those programs to kind of get their minds going and getting them prepared now.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, because I was going to say it's never too late to start looking for money. You know, Maxie said every university has a net price calculator. So you can Google any university you're thinking about and look up net price calculator and enter some data, and it'll tell you what the estimated cost of attending that school is going to be like. Find what are your non-negotiables when you're thinking about college admissions, as Maxie said. Do you want to be close to home? Do you want to be far away from home? Do you want to pay in-state tuition or out-of-state?
Yeah.
Don't discard the private schools, but also look for scholarship programs. Juniors, if you are in the top 5 to 10% of your class and you have financial need, Quest Bridge is a fantastic program for first-generation college students that have financial need, that are at the top of their class. And they essentially, when you complete the application, could potentially match you with some of the top universities in the nation for a full scholarship. If you've never heard of this scholarship, come to our college and career centers and we'll talk to you about it. Everybody should also be working on the College Board Opportunity Scholarship. It is an initiative the College Board has to get all the juniors to start in the college application process and exploration, but they're also giving away some money and scholarships for students that meet certain milestones. For example, if you create a college list on Big Future, they'll put you in the running for, I think it's a $500 scholarship.
Yeah.
And I know most of us will go into the classrooms and do that with you guys, but you can go ahead and do that now. And then also, LEADA Scholars, that's another program for juniors.
Right.
There's one, the Coolidge Foundation, also if you're a top academic student. And if you're kind of in the middle of the ground, you know, between like a 2.5 and a 3.2 GPA, start looking into Bridges to Success from Valencia. Start looking into the Wayne Dench Scholarship at Seminole State. And by the way, Central Florida has award-winning institutions at both the 2-year level, the 4-year level, public and private. So explore these options locally, because at least that'll give you an idea of what questions to ask when you're going outside and looking at other universities.
Right. Now, I know Mercedes has done some programs during the summer, like in preparation. What are some of those things that the kids can do also during the summer to prepare?
So hopefully we can bring back in Maxie and Elisa, you guys remember our boot camps for rising seniors. So hopefully we are able to offer students things that they need to start preparing for prior to the start of the first week of school, like your writing workshops, your college searches, finding the right fit. So not just for schools, but kids. I get a lot of kids who want to go to tech, but they just don't know what program in tech to pick because there's so many. The military, we used to have boot camps on how to search for scholarships and how to work through those scholarships. So hopefully we could bring back those boot camps to just get the kids to start thinking. You know, some of the stuff is not going to be set in stone with them, but so they can kind of hit the ground running before the start of school. I think that would really help. And then even if the kids cannot attend during the summer, we used to in May go into junior-based classrooms. And we will have presentations that we will go through things that they needed to start thinking about. So I'm really excited about that. Hopefully we can get it going because I think it will really help benefit the students at the end. And in addition, having a parent night.
Yeah.
So parents can also understand this process as well.
Because students don't understand how busy they are senior year.
Absolutely.
As soon as you start senior year, you have your AP classes, you have your rigorous courses, you have studying, you have activities, you have friends you want to see again. So get it going now. In junior year, get it going now. Do some stuff in the summer to make senior year so much better.
Yes.
And not just TikTok videos, people. Just do something else.
I guess unless they're TikTok videos for the college.
For the college, yes.
Right.
So you can be watching
Well,
them.
it's funny that you guys just said that because I think one of the best ways to start seeing and learning more about universities is following them on social media. A lot of them have admissions and university social media accounts that you can start following to see what they're about. A lot of times they do the takeovers where a student takes over the university's account and you follow them throughout the day and they tell you, you know, the class, the dorm, the cafeteria, going to the gym, like however they spend their day. And those are fun ways to get a glimpse of university life in general, but also different universities, you know, in their own little personality. Because believe it or not, colleges and universities have personalities just like you and I do. And we talked about finding your fit, and that's a great way to do that. The college essay guy, I swear by the college essay guy. He's
the truth.
Him are great.
Yeah.
I think you know, they always have really great nuggets of information on social media, on their YouTube page, on their website, and they also do events for juniors as well.
They also have a Spill the Tea episode with us, the College Essay Guide.
Yes,
Feel free to watch that. We have someone from the College Essay Guide in one of our episodes as well.
Yeah. And we mentioned social media. I believe every school has their own social media, so you definitely can keep up with that stuff, whether it's through Instagram, Facebook. I don't know if anybody's doing TikTok. If you are, please let me know because I want to laugh at some of the videos. But yeah, you know, make sure that you're paying attention to that too.
And Canvas.
And Canvas. Yes. So now when they are looking at all these things, I do want to mention social media. What would you guys suggest? and I'm trying to make this PC. You know, sometimes some people's social medias are a little bit crazy as a junior. Do you guys have any suggestions or words of wisdom for them when it comes to their social media?
I actually do, through some experience, especially those students that are planning on playing a sport in college. So if you're in the recruiting process, my oldest daughter played soccer in college, so we knew the process of recruiting. But after she graduated from college, she took up a part-time job, and her job was to stock social media of potential college athletes. The coaches themselves didn't have time to do it, but they hire that out. And so if there's questionable posts, questionable remarks, she had to keep track of all of that and then report it back to the institution. So yes, they do check your social media. She had a soccer mate that was offered a scholarship at a top institution that the offer was rescinded because they found some questionable information on her social media accounts. And so it is very important, absolutely very important. Even a snap, someone can screenshot. Just don't put it out there. What you put out should always be the best representation of who you are and your family and what you represent as a whole. And we all make mistakes, and that's okay. But there are some things that are going to be really hard to defend or to justify in front of an institution, especially as an athlete. They have an image to uphold and a reputation. And so if you don't fit into that, that would be heartbreaking to be a reason, that you're not accepted. So do keep up with that social media and keep it clean, youngins. Yes. Keep it clean.
Yeah, I think there was a survey maybe a year or two ago that said about 25% of universities check social media accounts of their applicants. So it's the law of numbers. You think it may not happen, but you never know when it will. And it can go far. I had a scholarship donor that did not award a scholarship to a student because he searched the internet, and she had something in seventh grade. And it was kind of harmless, but when you're a donor and you're giving money, you can pick who you want to give it to. And so he did. And unfortunately, that student missed out on a scholarship opportunity because of something that she had in seventh grade. Yeah. So, Maxie's right. You want to look at everything, clean it up, have a professional email. We mentioned this before. Have a professional email, and read your email and read the email that comes from us.
Yes.
We know that you guys get a lot of Canvas notifications, and it's a lot. And you can ignore those, but don't ignore the ones that come from us because they're good information.
Mercedes.
I do agree with them with social media, but also in terms of just when you're on social media searching for these schools or different sites to get information, just be mindful, make sure that these are legitimate sites you should be visiting. I will highly recommend, especially if you're looking from the admission standpoint, to go to those particular colleges or university sites, because they're going to give you the correct information. Sometimes there's so much out there, you just don't know where to start, and you just start going down this rabbit hole. But in terms of looking for that information on social media, try to stick to that particular college or university site, because you're going to get the correct information from them.
You guys brought up some really great points, and the one thing that I know you hear from time to time, I've heard as a counselor as well, when I start, next year, senior year, I'm going to do great, everything's going to be great, as if everything before that has disappeared and you've started this brand new slate, this new glimmer of light on you. People, remember, they're looking at everything before that time. They don't have enough time to wait in your senior year. So, we are in a cancel culture. So you don't want them to cancel you. Make sure that your life has been pretty good up until this point. We make those mistakes. We fall off, but it's a good sign to show when you have had to, redo a course and get that great forgiveness. You check your transcripts and you make sure that you're taking those courses that are going to be strong enough to get you into that school. And of course, like Elisa was just saying, clean up that social media too. You guys need to make sure Maxie, you schooled me on something. I had no idea that they hired out. I may have to do that job. That sounds like fun, but they hire out people to check your social media. So these are the things that a lot of our students tend to fall into as a pitfall. Make sure you guys are staying on top of that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have had a great talk for all of our juniors. So make sure you at home are going to your college and career specialists, parents, students, please go see them, get things going, make sure you're all set and ready to go with no regrets.
Yes, yes. And ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. Actually, I'll ask, do you have any last words of wisdom for our juniors?
I do. Plan, prepare, use your summer wisely. Those essays, get those essay prompts. They're out there. The new ones for the next year haven't come out obviously yet, but they don't change that much. So if you can get anything started ahead of time, it will save you so much time. That way you're able to give them to teachers and the college and career specialists early at the start of your senior year. We can dedicate more time to reading over and providing feedback. So start as early as you can with some of that information.
Elisa?
Know that you're not alone. You have a huge support system at your school who are here to walk you through whichever path that you choose for after high school.
Cool.
I would say think about what your goals are. And yes, take advantage of this time to research and have a plan set. A lot of you have extracurricular activities in the spring, and spring is really a busy time of year for juniors, especially those of you that are in spring sports or in, performing arts programs. Plan your testing out. There's national Saturday test dates, and weave the OCPS testing dates into that. So kind of set a calendar for yourself of what you should be doing when, so that you have less anxiety and less stress at the end. And think about what you want, not what mom and dad want, not what your friends want, but what you want. But also think about it with the understanding that you can change your mind. And that's perfectly okay. This is part of the journey, is really thinking about what you want to do. And then maybe when you try something out, you realize this isn't what I want. And it's okay to change your mind, but keep those open doors and come and see us. We want to talk to you. We want to get to know you, and we want to help you.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. And you from home, please like the videos if you like what you see. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have plenty of other videos for you to watch. All righty.
That's it. We're out, people. Thanks for joining us. Take care.